Hello, and welcome to Across the Fence. We're looking back at some highlights of 2025, and today's episode is a favorite of mine. It's the first field program I ever shot, and to make things easy on me, we roped my daughter Scarlett into the production as we headed to the Miller Barn on Spear Street, home to UVM's very own herd of more than 100 dairy cows. Take a look. Did you know it's actually harder to get into veterinary school than medical school these days? And what if you didn't grow up on a dairy farm, but you're cow curious? How are you supposed to learn the ins and outs of a notoriously hard business? That's where the appropriately named C.R.E.A.M program at UVM comes in. An acronym, C.R.E.A.M stands for the Cooperative for Real Education in Agricultural Management. Founded in 1988, it's one of only 3 programs like it in the entire country. C.R.E.A.M students, all undergrads, tackle UVM's dairy operations round the clock, doing everything from breeding and veterinary care to milking and mucking. While their peers are sleeping, they're managing milk pickup and bringing baby cows into the world at 3 a.m. As promised, it's a real education, the kind that changes a student forever. I learned that firsthand last year when my daughter Scarlett, now a sophomore, became a creamer. So when you were 8, you were already binge watching Dr. Pol and making me watch animal surgery videos on YouTube. You always wanted to be a vet, but did you always want to study animal sciences?
I definitely did not. I had pretty much no interest in cows, livestock. I think I even told you that I really didn't like cows and I would never be an animal science major.
Yeah, you put money on it.
Sure did. But I majored in zoology and then joined Dairy Club and finally met some cows, and now this is one of my favorite places on campus.
Yep, yeah. Well, how is learning in C.R.E.A.M different than learning in a classroom?
It's a lot faster paced. It's a lot more hands-on. I had never interacted with cows. I had never really done any type of milking of any animal.
Yeah.
So to be past the milking unit and taught how to put it on the first days of being in C.R.E.A.M was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. What do you remember about those first days in the barn? Like, how'd you feel?
I was nervous because I had no experience of what I was doing. I knew that I was supposed to be good at it because I was here and I got into the program.
I don't know if you were supposed to be good at it, but
I wanted to be good at it because I wanted to excel and I wanted to prove that this is where I was supposed to be. So I was nervous, but I was really excited.
I remember the very first time you were at a cow birth and you were texting me photos and you came home and you were like, oh my gosh. What do you remember about that night?
I just thought it was really cool. I'd never seen any type of birth before, and to actually be a part of pulling the calf and drying it off afterwards, it was really just a special experience to see something that was a new life that I got to take care of for a while.
Yeah. Does it ever get old watching a baby cow be born?
Not really.
What has been your favorite C.R.E.A.M experience?
I really like that we kind of got to form bonds with some special cows. We each get 2 draft cows, sometimes more, and just kind of getting to bond with them and getting to know them and their personalities, their favorite snacks.
Oh, okay. So what's a favorite snack?
My cow really likes apples.
Okay. All right.
And my other cow really likes Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah, I've seen the box of Honey Nut Cheerios in the kitchen.
Marked
Berta. There you go.
For Bert.
Yeah. So in C.R.E.A.M program, you're working with cows, obviously. You're also working with a whole bunch of different people. You were really nervous about all of the new people at the beginning. How is it now?
It is really spectacular. We all have a super special bond. I can't say that I've woken up at 3 a.m. and hung out with people for 4 hours getting covered in poop or helping pull out a baby calf. So it definitely creates special bonds.
Immersed in barn life, C.R.E.A.M students quickly gain dairy farming skills. But of course, they're not all on their own. Bar managers Matt Bodette and Farron Dick oversee daily operations. And Dr. Stephen Wadsworth is the course instructor and C.R.E.A.M advisor. He's a native Vermonter, the son of a UVM extension vet, and for 4 decades has been a dairy vet himself in northern Vermont.
We try to give them a broad education, not only in the medical care of cows, the housing of cows, all the different aspects of cow management, but also where does this fit in the production of dairy products, not just in Vermont, but globally. And we sometimes will talk about how the price of milk in Vermont is affected by the trade policies with China, or how much milk New Zealand is producing.
All those
and
complexities.
all those nuances and interconnected complexities.
Yeah. Well, then what about some of the coursework? Because I know you get into things like genetics and breeding, and the students are even, sometimes they're looking at the individual characteristics of a given milking cow and thinking about breeding and which bull do we want to breed them with. How does that help them understand the complexities of dairy?
So take it a step back. So they, up on what I call the hill, the campus, they have usually taken a lot of their hard science classes before they get here. Their physics and organic chemistry and biology, and sometimes they're thinking like, why am I having to learn all this stuff? And then they come here and we talk about the metabolic pathways of certain diseases, or how vaccines work, or what's important with nutrition. And they, all of a sudden, light bulbs start going off in their heads like, oh, now I see how these things are interconnected. And it's such a joy on my end when you see students have that, what I call those awe moments, or moments of like just
that's the real education.
Yes, that is where education happens.
How are we doing with dairy vets?
So there's not only a national shortage of large animal vets, there is a statewide shortage of large animal vets. So this program, I think, provides an enormous opportunity for the state to, it doesn't mean that all these students are going to come back to Vermont and practice, but many of them who've spent 4 years at UVM have found that magic of Vermont and can't wait to get back.
Cows.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things, Amy, is students that come here who are completely sure of their career path. They're going to be small animal veterinarians in a suburban area, for example. They come here and become absolutely just flipped over cows, and they are, and many of them say, well, I think I want to be a dairy vet. And that's just,
and maybe even other aspects of dairy too, right?
Yes, I have a student that just graduated from Purdue with a master's degree in nutrition. She's living in St. Johnsbury and working as a full-time dairy nutritionist in Vermont. I've got students working on farms as herd managers, and a whole variety of other dairy related careers. So it's, and there's a wide open field, because like in so many areas, it's difficult to find passionate, well-trained people of good character.
Those passionate people of good character. I love how you always bring it around to their character. Spending time with the animals outside of chores and milking is an important part of C.R.E.A.M. Through selfies, snuggles, and snacks, C.R.E.A.M students learn what it means to truly care for cows. Scarlett had 2 special cows in the program, Alberta and Renata. You were pretty close with one of your cows in particular. You want to tell me about Renata?
She was a very special cow. She was very different looking than everybody else because she was brown instead of all these black and white girls. And she was just really sweet. I would bring her snacks every day before I went to class, and I would come early so I could sit with her.
Yeah, I got a lot of Renata pictures.
She was a photo star. She was great.
She would very kindly sit for selfies and things like that with you.
She loved the attention.
Yeah, she did. But what happened to Renata?
She got injured. She wasn't able to walk anymore, so we had to have her put down so she wasn't in pain.
Yeah. I remember that. I mean, I was crying. How did you handle it?
It was really hard. I was here with her every day since she got her injury, just sitting with her, petting her, talking to her, making sure she knew that she was loved, okay. Yeah, she would be okay.
Yeah. That was really hard. How did that, change your understanding of what it's like to be a vet?
It was just kind of solidified what I already knew. It was going to be hard. There's aspects of the job that are never going to get easy, but it's kind of just, your due diligence. As a vet, you don't want animals to suffer, and sometimes it's the only way to prevent it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had said that it was going to be hard maybe to come back here and be in the barn without her. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm connecting with new cows. I'm obviously thinking of her and missing her, and every time I see Radish, I'm like, oh my gosh, red cow. And it's not her, but
Many of these students will say this was one of the most transformative experiences in their young life. And
because they're really seeing life in the barn, right? I mean, they're seeing the birth of cows, they're seeing the last days of cows. Yeah,
it's this
it's very emotional.
circle of life education. It encompasses way more than dairy science and dairy management. You know, they're learning how do you mourn the loss of an animal that you were attached to. How do you process a new birth? I've seen a cow giving birth with 20 students around the outside of the pen, and you look around and many of them have tears rolling down their cheeks because it's the first time they've experienced a new birth. And it's, you know, this deeply
Altering.
moving experiences for these young students.
Yeah.
Vet schools see their GPA and their resume, but they don't see their character. And they don't, how do you measure character? How do you measure work ethic? How do you measure integrity and humility and kindness and compassion? Those are all kind of soft things that are difficult
And incredibly important.
and incredibly important. And so you spend a lot of time talking about what's it mean to be a good human being, and why is that important, whether you go to vet school or, I mean, if you have a heartbeat, those things are important.
Right. Well, because vet care is people care, it's owner care.
And that's another really interesting piece. So you ask most students who want to be veterinarians why they want to be a vet, and it's like, oh, I love animals. And I'm like, stop right there. You need to love people, because the people are your gateway to the animal. And if you can't do that human relationship, you're going to have a tough time getting to the animals that you so love.
As E.B. White observed, you can learn a lot about life in a barn. I hope you've enjoyed learning about UVM's C.R.E.A.M program with me today. I'm Amy Finley. This is Across the Fence. Come back tomorrow and let's learn and explore together again.